Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us.
I'm excited to be here.
Today we're diving into some SCPs that I think you'll find really fascinating and honestly a little scary.
Definitely unsettling.
Yeah, they really kind of get under your skin.
hmm
And the SCPs that we're going to talk about today come from a Chinese video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we had to get them all translated.
Well,
But we're going to be talking about several different SCPs and kind of dissecting what makes them so interesting.
yeah, I'm really fascinated by what makes these things tick.
And maybe why they freak us out so much.
Absolutely. And what they say about us. I think that's always an interesting part of it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I guess for people who maybe are new to this whole world of the SCP Foundation,
Right.
SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect.
Yeah.
And it's this fictional organization that is dedicated to keeping these often very dangerous anomalies under wraps.
Yeah, they've got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they really do. So let's dive right in, I guess. Which one are we starting with?
Let's start with one of the classics, I think, that really gets to this idea of unintended consequences.
Okay.
And that's SCP-096,
096.
or as it's sometimes known, the Shy Guy.
Shy Guy. That doesn't sound too scary.
Well, don't let the name fool you.
Okay,
This is one that I think gets under people's skin because of how it looks.
I see.
So picture, if you will, a tall, lanky humanoid creature with incredibly long arms
Okay.
and a completely blank face.
A blank face.
Yeah, there's no features, no eyes, no mouth, no nose, nothing. It's just this smooth white surface.
So, like, the less you see, the more scary it is.
Exactly. And that's what's so unsettling about it, I think. It's the lack of detail, that void where a face should be.
Yeah.
It just makes it really disturbing.
Makes sense. Yeah, I could see that.
And then what makes it even more interesting is the paradox. So this creature is totally docile unless somebody sees its face.
Really?
Yeah, even accidentally.
Yeah.
So a glance, a photograph, a video, recording any visual contact at all
Oh, wow.
triggers this terrifying reaction in the creature.
So if I were to, like, stumble upon a picture of its face online,
You would be in trouble.
I would be in trouble.
Big trouble.
Okay.
It's for a reason that it's contained in a heavily guarded sealed cell.
So it's very, very dangerous.
Extremely
No.
easy. And when somebody sees its face, it goes into this state of extreme distress.
Oh, no.
It covers its face. It starts emitting this horrifying wail, and after a few minutes, it becomes totally enraged,
Oh, my.
transforms into this unstoppable force of nature that will hunt down the person who saw its face no matter what.
So, like, walls, mountains, oceans, nothing can stop it.
Nothing. It will break through anything. It will go over anything. It will go under anything. It's absolutely relentless.
Wow.
And to make things even creepier, it's not just direct eye contact that triggers it.
Oh, no.
So even a partial glimpse in a reflection or an artistic representation of its face can set it off.
Like a drawing.
Imagine, accidentally doodling somebody that resembles its face,
Oh, my God.
and suddenly you've got this unstoppable monster on your trail.
I am never drawing again. I am never drawing again.
Right. It really makes you think twice.
This one is definitely infamous. I can see why. It really raises some interesting questions about, how powerful an image can be.
Absolutely.
Like the power of seeing something can actually have real-world deadly consequences.
It really does. And it makes you think about how much we rely on visual information.
Yeah,
And how vulnerable that can make us.
totally. And there's also that story about the researcher who sacrificed himself to prove how dangerous SCP-096 was.
Oh, yeah. That's a tragic one.
It was a desperate attempt to lure the creature away from populated areas. I mean, knowing that there was no other way to stop it.
Right. It was a necessary evil.
Yeah, and it just highlights how, the moral dilemmas that the SCP Foundation faces sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like, do you prioritize containing something that's super dangerous, even if it means sacrificing human lives?
Where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line between safety and ethical responsibility?
Oh,
It really is. All right, so before we get too lost in existential dread,
okay.
maybe we can shift gears to another SCP.
Yeah, let's lighten things up a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about one that's a little less existential dread and a little bit more.
Okay.
A little bit more bizarre.
Bizarre. Bring it on.
So this one is SCP 2006,
2006.
also known as Too Spooky.
Too spooky.
Too Spooky.
That sounds almost endearing.
I know, right?
In a creepy way.
Yeah, it might sound silly at first, but trust me, this SCP is classified as Keter,
Really?
the highest threat level.
Okay.
For a
right.
reason.
So what makes a shape-shifting blob that's obsessed with being scary?
Right.
So dangerous.
Well, it's not necessarily its current state that's the problem. It's its potential.
Okay.
So SCP-2006, it can shapeshift into anything, regardless of size, shape, or even physics.
Oh, wow.
It's a real wild card. However, it doesn't actually understand human fear.
What?
It just knows it wants to be scary.
Okay.
And it's constantly trying to learn how.
So it's like a child playing dress up and trying on different monster costumes without understanding what makes them scary.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
And that childlike quality is actually something that the SCP Foundation has cleverly exploited.
Oh.
So they discovered that SCP-2006 has this obsession with horror movies,
What?
especially bad ones,
So they're showing it cheesy horror flicks.
as a containment strategy. Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's a little bit absurd. I know.
Yeah, but it's kind of brilliant.
Well, the real fear is that by watching these movies, SCP-2006 might actually get better at being spooky.
Oh, no. That's so funny and terrifying at the same time.
Right.
Like, what if it figures it out?
Exactly. What if it actually learns what truly scares us?
It makes you think about, how media can have such an impact,
Yeah.
even on something as strange as a, shape-shifting blob
Absolutely.
that's obsessed with fear.
And I think it also makes us think about why we're drawn to things that scare us,
Yeah, like why do we seek out horror movies even though they terrify us?
right? The fascinating question that psychologists have been studying for years.
Maybe it's a way to confront our fears in a safe environment.
Yeah,
Or maybe just to experience a thrill, That's hard to find elsewhere.
I think there's something to that.
Okay, well, before I start craving popcorn and a bad horror movie marathon,
Okay.
let's move on to another fascinating case, shall we?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This next one deals with a different kind of fear.
Okay.
One that's less about immediate danger
Okay.
and more about a quiet, unsettling presence.
Uh,
And we're talking about SCP-4999,
4999.
the Watcher.
The Watcher.
Okay, I'm already getting chills.
It's a creepy one.
What makes this one so unsettling?
So SCP-4999, it appears to people in their final moments,
Oh, wow.
specifically those who are dying alone.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is.
Yeah.
And it seems to target individuals that don't have close relationships or support systems.
So people who are essentially facing death with no one by their side. Exactly. And, it makes you think about all the people in the world who are struggling with loneliness and social isolation,
Yeah,
especially as they face their final moments.
absolutely. That's heartbreaking.
It is. And what SCP-4999 does is both unsettling and strangely comforting at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So it appears to the dying person, it sits with them,
Wow.
even offers them a cigarette if they smoke,
Really?
and just watches over them as they pass.
So unlike the other SCPs we've talked about,
Right.
this one isn't like inherently malicious.
It's more like a compassionate observer.
That's interesting.
Yeah, its presence always precedes death,
Okay.
but it's never actually been observed to cause death. It's more like it's drawn to it.
So is it some kind of grim reaper figure or something else entirely?
That's the mystery. We don't know its motives or where it comes from.
Wow.
We only know that they're a silent witness to the end of a life.
This one's really hitting me hard. It makes you think about how important human connection and community are, especially when we're facing something as profound as death.
Absolutely.
Like, if you knew you were facing your final moments alone, how would you feel?
It's not a pleasant thought.
It's not. What does this say about the way we as a society treat those who are isolated and alone?
It's a profound question and one that I think we need to consider carefully.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, before I start calling all my friends and family to make sure they know they're loved,
Good idea.
maybe we can dive into another SCP.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm ready for another dose of strange and fascinating,
All right.
even if it's a little scary.
Okay, this one deals with the fascinating and often unsettling connection between our minds and reality.
Ooh, okay.
So we're talking about SCP-123A7,
1237.
or Epsilon Wave.
Epsilon Wave. That sounds almost scientific.
It is.
What are we dealing with here?
So this SCP, it deals with a particular type of brainwave,
Okay.
known as the F wave.
Yep.
It's incredibly rare. But the SCP Foundation discovered that individuals who exhibit this brainwave pattern, they have this unique and incredibly dangerous ability.
Uh-oh. What kind of ability?
They can literally alter reality with your dreams.
Hold on. You're saying their dreams actually change the real world?
Precisely.
Whoa.
So imagine the possibilities, but also the dangers.
Yeah.
These individuals, they have no control over these dream-induced changes.
Oh.
They could dream of anything no matter how absurd or catastrophic.
Oh my God.
and it could become reality.
That is way scarier than any nightmare I've ever had.
I can imagine.
How can the SCP Foundation contain something like that?
That's the problem. The number of potential F-wave individuals is unknown.
So it could be anyone.
Exactly. They could be anywhere. The Foundation is constantly searching, trying to identify and contain these individuals
Oh, wow.
before their dreams reshape the world in unpredictable ways.
So anyone listening right now could be unknowingly altering reality with their dreams.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
It really is.
It makes you question the nature of reality itself.
It does.
What if our world is just a collection of dreams, constantly shifting and changing?
My head hurts.
I know it's a lot to think about.
It makes me wonder, could there be ways to harness this power?
Ooh, that's interesting.
What if we could intentionally use dreams to shape reality?
That's where things get really tricky, both scientifically and ethically.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope.
I can only imagine. I remember reading about the Foundation's attempt to use one of these dream-controlling individuals to neutralize another dangerous SCP.
Yeah.
SCP-682, a creature known as the hard-to-kill reptile.
Oh, yeah, that's a nasty one.
They tried to use dream manipulation to essentially erase it from existence.
A bold move.
What happened?
Well, the dream manipulation worked temporarily.
Okay.
SCP-682 was transformed into a harmless cat.
Ah.
But the dream controller didn't survive the encounter,
Oh.
and eventually SCP-682 reverted back to its original indestructible form.
So some things might be beyond even the power of dream manipulation?
It seems that way. It's almost like a cosmic check and balance.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm officially spooked.
Yeah.
Maybe we need something a little lighter
Okay.
before we wrap up this part of the deep dive.
All right.
What do you think?
Actually, this next one is a bit more lighthearted
Okay.
in a darkly humorous kind of way.
I like it.
So get ready for SCP-426. Or, as it would insist,
Okay.
I am a toaster.
I am a toaster.
I am a toaster.
Okay, that's just weird.
It is. This SCP is an anomaly that affects language and perception.
Okay.
So anyone attempting to refer to SCP-426 in the third person
Right.
will involuntarily switch to first-person speech.
So if I try to say the toaster is on the table, I would instead say I am on the table.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It's a bizarre compulsion, and it's impossible to resist.
Oh, wow.
You can try to talk about it in the third person,
Yeah.
but the words will literally change in your mouth.
Whoa.
It's
But
wild.
it's like a linguistic virus.
Yeah,
Spreading through language itself.
that's a good way to put it.
But you said it was darkly humorous.
Right.
What's the funny part?
Well, the initial reaction is often amusement. You know,
Mhm.
it's hard to take a toaster seriously,
Yeah,
even when it's messing with your ability to speak.
right.
However, the SCP Foundation has documented cases where this seemingly harmless anomaly has had some pretty tragic consequences.
Tragic.
Tragic.
How can a toaster be tragic?
Well, there was a case involving a family
Okay.
that acquired SCP-426.
Right?
At first, they found it amusing,
Yeah.
a quirky novelty,
Right.
but the constant exposure, the constant involuntary shifting to first-person speech when referring to the toaster,
Yeah.
it warped their perceptions.
How so?
They became convinced that they were toasters.
What?
They started behaving like toasters, even neglecting their basic needs because they believed they only needed to be plugged in
Oh my.
to function.
Wow.
And ultimately, this delusion led to their deaths.
Oh, that's awful. What started as a funny quirk turned deadly.
It's a stark reminder that even the most seemingly benign SCPs can have dangerous,
Yeah.
even deadly consequences.
Yeah. It is a good thing the Foundation is out there,
Absolutely.
containing these anomalies and protecting humanity from these unpredictable effects.
Right. It's a big job, but somebody's got to do it.
Well, I am officially both terrified and fascinated by the world of SCPs.
Me too. It's a wild ride.
But I think that's enough mind-bending weirdness for now.
Okay.
We'll be back with more SCP deep dives soon.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Hmm.
So to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of SCPs. Keep exploring, keep questioning,
Stay curious.
and maybe keep a nightlight on, just in case.
Good advice.
Until next time.
See you then. Speaking of unpredictable effects and anxieties,
Yeah.
there's another one I think you'll find really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
Have you ever been to an IKEA?
Who hasn't? Love it or hate it.
Okay.
You don't soon forget that shopping experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now imagine getting lost in an IKEA, but instead of finding your way out, you realize that it's actually infinite.
An infinite IKEA. I think my love-hate relationship just tipped firmly into hate.
That's SCP-3008, or as it's known, the infinite IKEA. So picture those sprawling showrooms, winding aisles, shelves, stocked with every imaginable piece of furniture stretching on forever.
And I'm guessing those famously cheap hot dogs are nowhere to be found.
Not quite the biggest problem you'd face.
Oh, no.
SCP-3008, it's trapped in this perpetual twilight.
Okay.
The exits are impossible to find, and is inhabited by something much more terrifying than just frustrated shoppers.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What could be worse than navigating an endless maze of Billy bookcases and clip-hand sofas?
Well, the inhabitants of this infinite IKEA aren't your typical customers.
Okay.
They're humanoid, but they're distorted, almost grotesque. And they're incredibly aggressive, especially when night falls within the store.
So it's like a retail-themed nightmare. You're trapped in this endless expanse of discounted furniture, and these creepy creatures come out at night to hunt you down.
That's pretty much the gist of it.
I guess calling customer service to complain isn't an option.
No customer service and no escape.
Yikes.
The only way to survive is to cooperate with other trapped individuals, build defenses, and basically create this miniature society within this infinite hellscape.
That's terrifying, but also kind of amazing.
Right.
It really speaks to human resilience.
It does.
You know, even in the face of such absurdity and danger, we find ways to adapt, to create communities, to survive.
It makes you wonder, what would you do
Yeah.
if you found yourself trapped in an infinite IKEA?
Honestly, I think I'd try to build a really impressive fort out of those modular shelving units. Maybe rig up some kind of alarm system using those motion sensor lights they sell.
Remorseful. That's a spirit.
You got to make the best of a bad situation, right?
I like it. But speaking of human resilience and facing the unknown, let's shift gears to an SCP that grapples with a question that has haunted humanity since, like, the dawn of consciousness.
Okay, that took a turn. Are we talking ghosts? Heaven? Reincarnation? Give me the spooky details.
It's not quite any of those things.
Okay.
SCP-2718, also known as What Happens After.
What happens after?
It's not about a tangible creature or object. It's more of a concept,
Right.
a state of being. And it describes what happens to human consciousness after death.
And the Foundation has figured this out. I'm all ears, but maybe a little afraid to hear the answer.
The details are highly classified, but let's just say it's not what you would call comforting.
Okay.
You know, the SCP Foundation maintains that it's not evidence of a supernatural afterlife or anything like that.
Right.
But what they have discovered suggests that it's not exactly oblivion either.
So what is it? What happens after?
Imagine a state of pure information, devoid of any subjective experience or emotion or self-awareness.
Okay.
A sort of awareness exists, but it's completely alien to human understanding. You know, it's like being aware of every piece of data in the universe, but without the ability to process or comprehend any of it.
That's terrifying. It's not nothingness. It's like this overwhelming, incomprehensible somethingness
Right.
that our minds just aren't equipped to handle.
It's a concept that really forces us to confront the limits of human understanding.
Yeah.
You know, what does it mean to exist without subjective experience, without self-awareness?
And the Foundation is trying to contain this concept.
They're trying to contain the knowledge of it.
Okay.
The fear is that widespread awareness of SCP-2718 would trigger mass panic and societal collapse.
Yeah, I can see that happen.
You know, imagine the existential crisis if everybody knew for certain that there was no heaven, no reincarnation, just this.
That would throw the world into chaos for sure. You know, this whole conversation is making me incredibly grateful to be alive
Me too.
and experiencing the world even with all its imperfections.
It's a good reminder to appreciate the present moment.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm ready for another dive into the strange and unsettling world of the SCP Foundation. What's next?
Let's talk about an SCP that embodies this idea of running from the inevitable.
Okay.
SCP-1440,
1440.
the old man from nowhere.
An old man running from something. Okay, this sounds intriguing and maybe a little sad. What's the story here?
So this entity claims to be incredibly old, possibly older than the universe itself.
Whoa.
And he's constantly on the move,
Wow.
always fleeing from something that he calls the inevitable.
The inevitable. That sounds ominous. Do we know what he's running from?
No one knows for sure.
Yeah.
He's incredibly reluctant to discuss it, and any attempts to force the issue have not ended well.
So he's like a cosmic refugee forever on the run from some unimaginable threat that we can't even comprehend.
A very apt description.
Okay.
And what makes this SCP even more fascinating is that he seems to be able to travel through time and dimensions.
Wait, so he's like a time traveler?
Yeah.
A dimension hopper? This just gets weirder and weirder.
Right. The Foundation has documented his appearances throughout history,
Wow.
across different cultures and continents.
Hmm.
He's always described as an elderly man always fleeing, always haunted by this unseen pursuer.
This is giving me serious The Time Traveler's Wife vibes.
Yeah.
But with a much darker twist. Any theories about what this inevitable thing could be?
The theories range from the end of the universe
Okay.
to some kind of multidimensional predator, but the truth remains a mystery,
So SCP-1440 is a walking enigma,
pretty much.
a living embodiment of the vast mysteries that lie beyond our comprehension.
And the Foundation is trying to contain a being who can travel through time and dimensions.
Seems like a pretty tall order.
It's unclear if containment is even possible.
Yeah.
Every attempt to capture or restrain him has failed. It's as if he can see the future,
Yeah.
always knowing when and where they're going to try to apprehend him.
So he's a cosmic wanderer, a timeless refugee, and possibly a harbinger of some unimaginable doom.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. I officially need a minute to process all of this.
Yeah.
We've gone from creepy shy guys and shape-shifting blobs to infinite furniture stores and the nature of death itself.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. But that's the beauty of the SCP Foundation. It forces us to confront the unknown, to question everything, and to grapple with the truly bizarre.
Ready for one more.
Lay it on me.
We have time for one final fascinating entity before we wrap up.
Okay, hit me with it. What other strange entity awaits us in this vast world of the SCP Foundation?
This one's a bit of an enigma even by SCP standards.
Okay.
It's designated SCP-055,
055.
and it's often referred to as anti-meme.
Anti-meme, like the opposite of a viral internet trend?
Well, not quite that straightforward.
Okay.
SCP-055 is an anomaly that defies description and even memory.
What do you mean?
So anyone who observes it can't remember its specific details or even that they observed it in the first place.
So if I were to see it right now, I would instantly forget what I saw.
Essentially, yes. And not just what you saw, but the fact that you saw anything at all.
Whoa!
The memory is completely erased, like looking at a blank spot in your mind.
That's incredibly creepy and kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah.
How do they even know it exists if no one can remember it?
That's one of the biggest mysteries surrounding SCP-055.
Yeah.
The Foundation knows it's there, they have it contained,
Okay.
but the details of its containment and even its basic properties are constantly being forgotten and rediscovered.
So they're basically playing a constant game of memory hide-and-seek with this thing.
Exactly. Like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep disappearing as soon as you look at them.
Wow.
The Foundation has developed elaborate systems and protocols to document and track its properties.
I see.
But even those are subject to its amnestic effects.
It's almost like a cosmic joke.
Right.
This entity that's impossible to remember, yet its impact is undeniably real. It makes you think about the nature of memory and how fragile it can be. What if there are things we've seen or experienced that have been completely wiped from our minds?
It's a disturbing thought, isn't it? And it raises questions about the limits of our understanding.
Yeah.
If something can exist without leaving a trace in our memory,
Uh-huh.
what else might be out there lurking just beyond our perception?
Okay, well, this one's definitely going to keep me up at night. As we wrap up our deep dive into these 5 SCPs,
Yeah.
I'm struck by how they all seem to tap into different aspects of our fears and anxieties.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
It's almost as if the SCP Foundation is a reflection of our collective unconscious, a repository for all the things that scare us, confuse us, and make us question the nature of reality.
From the primal fear of being hunted by an unstoppable creature to the existential dread of facing death alone,
Right.
and the unsettling possibility that our dreams can reshape reality, these SCPs really run the gamut of human anxieties.
And let's not forget the sheer weirdness of it all.
Yeah.
A shape-shifting blob obsessed with horror movies.
Right.
A toaster that can control your speech.
Right.
An old man fleeing from the end of time. These entities challenge our understanding of what's possible and make us question the very fabric of our existence.
It's been a wild ride, that's for sure.
Okay.
I feel like I've learned a lot, even if I'm not entirely sure I want to remember all of it.
I think that's the perfect takeaway. The world of the SCP Foundation is vast and full of wonders, terrors, and mysteries that are both fascinating and unsettling.
Very well said. To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of SCPs. Keep exploring, keep questioning,
And stay curious.
and maybe keep a nightlight on, just in case.
Good advice.
Until next time.